Have you ever sat down at the desk in front of a textbook or a computer and thought, why is this so hard? Like, what do I do with that? If that sounds like you, you're in the right place. Welcome! Today I'll tell you about what priming is, how to use it effectively. That is, what are some tips on using priming, and how to actually use it in your study at university or at work, getting to know the theory behind new skills. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Priming is basically getting more familiar with the material. It's like building a house. Instead of building a kitchen, then a living room, then some part of roof, then some walls, then bathroom. No. The way you build a house is by first building the foundation, then the walls and the rooms that are going to be. Not specific, but some space for the room. Then you actually secure the details, that is furniture. So you do it in layers, and that's the way it is done with priming. You can learn the material from A to Z, but that would be so hard, especially if a topic is complex. So instead, you can learn in layers. For example, some time ago I sat at my desk and was working on my mobile app, and I thought, okay, I need to animate particles through that, but I don't know how to do this. So, this one time, I'll use AI to completely from scratch create an animation component. And it did build the wall component. It was working, but it was dark magic to me. But I thought, you know what? It's quite delayed, so I will fix it. I don't know anything about how this code works, but I'll fix it. I'll improve it. And guess what? After a few trials, I messed the code so much that even when I redo it, I couldn't get it back to work. So I sighed deeply and thought, okay, I'll just learn how to animate. And I sat down and I had the exam set thought, as I mentioned at the beginning, what is this? Like, I have to learn that? No way! It was so hard that I didn't know what to do with it. But I did a short break, literally 5 minutes, and get back to the material. Okay, I know some terms because I read it before. I open a YouTube video that's talking about the same stuff, but it shows me this stuff, and I think, okay, I've seen that. And layer by layer, I learned how to animate particles in mobile app development. And at the end, I was able to create my own animations, even animating my particles. So it works. What are some rules, tips on how to prime? Basically, there are three things. First, you want to focus on the easy stuff first, because it will be easier that way. Second, you want to interleave material types, like for example, the way I did it. Read some docs from a textbook, for example, or from a documentary. Watch a movie about it, maybe listen to an audiobook. And just add some variations to how you intake the same kind of knowledge. And third thing, add some note making. For example, when I was learning about a theory of games from psychotherapy, when I went through layers of study, I had a thought that, okay, I kinda grasped this topic, but I'm not there yet. So I opened my notes app and just written everything I know about this specific fragment of the topic, as if I was going to explain it to my friend or to a colleague of mine. And at first I thought, okay, I don't exactly get the definition that was brought there. How can I simplify it? And a bit by bit, I was able to make a note that explained the topic I've learned just now. So, focus on the easy stuff, interleave some different material types, and add note making during your learning process. So, how do you actually use priming in your session? Let's say you're at a university. You grab your textbook and at first you get familiar with the titles, headlines, bold words, concepts, just to get a grasp about what is this topic about. Next, you take a short break, like 5 to 10 minutes. Don't cheat on this one. And then you go through a second layer. You read a bit about those concepts, those headlines. Not everything, just the stuff you understand, the stuff that seems the most crucial. You don't want to memorize yet. There will be a time for that. You just read to get a grasp about what all those keywords, all those terms actually are about. Then you take another break. And in a third layer, you grab your textbook and actually read more details about the stuff you're learning. And then try to make a note from that, like explain it on paper, in a phone. What is this topic about? What are some important things and what's not so important, like just fluffy details, like fillers. And it works the same way if you're at work and want to learn a specific skill. You open docs or some documentary you have access to, like a book or a blog post. And you read the keywords, headlines, titles, concepts. Then you go through the same layers as with university students. There you have it. We've covered what priming is, what are some tips on how to prime properly, and how to actually use it in your session. Now, one more thing that's useful to add is knowledge application. But not just some random application like you learn to apply it at work, so you'll take a quiz to test your knowledge. No. In his book, Scott Young advises to tie your learning exam, let's say, like application of knowledge, to the real application that's going to be tested in the real world. So for example, if you know you're going to be tested at a university by open-ended question test, you don't want to just test yourself, apply your knowledge in an closed-ended question. You want to test yourself the way you will be tested. And the same applies when you learn for work. If you want to learn something like animating characters. You don't want to just animate, let's say, a string of text. That's not the right application. Try to apply in the same way you will use it in real life. And that's it. Thanks for the patience, and if this sparks some ideas in your mind, make sure to leave them down below.